When I was a teenager, my friends and I would go to each other's house for parties when their parents were away. And after the second or third beer, when everyone became a philosopher, we'd walk out into the street, lie onto the ground, country town, no one's running over us, and look up at the stars and have what we called glue conversations. GLUE was an acronym. It stood for God, Life, the Universe, and Everything. None of us were religious. I'm kind of really impressed with the 15, 14-year-old me that thought this was a cool idea. I just wanted to talk about these big questions. And I remember laying on the cold road and looking up at the enormous sky and it eliciting an irrepressible wonder, yearning, desire for that which I know not what. I think you and I ask ourselves 5 fundamental questions. Everybody does, in one way or another. Number 1, where did I come from? Number 2, who am I? Number 3, why am I here? Number 4, how should I live? And number 5, where am I going? Now, if God doesn't exist, if atheism is true, then we have dogmatic answers to these questions, don't we? Where did I come from? Right, here it is. You've been coughed into existence by a blind cosmic process that didn't have you in mind. Okay, thanks. Who am I? You are the result of matter plus time plus chance. That's who you are. Well, why am I here? Listen, why presupposes some sort of ultimate meaning. But remember, the universe is just one big cosmic accident. There is no objective meaning to the universe from which it follows inescapably. There is no objective meaning to your life. Now, you might not like that, but who cares what you like? If God doesn't exist, that's true. And you might think, well, that's not true, though. I mean, the purpose of my life is to find a cure for this or that, or to fight for this cause, or to be a good husband, to be a good mother. But if atheism is true, these are nothing more than self-imposed delusions to sort of get us through the day. 4, how should I live? Look, however you want, in whatever way brings you fulfillment. If that means being a Mother Teresa or a Joseph Stalin, whatever makes you happy, as they say. Number 5, where am I going? Well, let me tell you. You and our species are doomed to perish individually and collectively as a species in what cosmologists call the inevitable heat death of the universe. Now, what struck me is no one ever said, okay, you don't know if God exists, so I would have said, I don't think so. And if they had have said, well, why? I wouldn't have had any good reasons. I came up with a few which I thought were really profound, and then later on went to study philosophy and realized they were either fallacious or just not good. Let's look at a couple. One thing I would say is the reason you're Christian is because you were raised in a Christian home. Religion is a cultural phenomenon largely. If you were raised in India, you might be Buddhist or Hindu, but you were raised Christian and you're Christian. That's it. But this commits what's called the genetic fallacy, which any first-year philosophy student would realize. The genetic fallacy attempts to invalidate a belief based on how the belief originates. And you can see why that doesn't work, because you and I might come to hold all sorts of true beliefs based on inadequate evidence or bad reasoning. I'll give you an example. My son came into the room a couple of years ago. I was preparing for dinner. And he said, Dad, do you know you can fit 1 million Earths into the sun? I'm cutting carrots. No, didn't know that. Where'd you hear that from? He said, the cartoon I'm watching. Right. Now, don't laugh too hard, because if that laugh was meant to imply he heard it on a cartoon, therefore it mustn't be true, that would be to commit the genetic fallacy. It turns out the cartoon he was watching was the Magic School Bus. Science show for children. I did a bit of research and it turns out he was right. I could say a lot more, but let me say one other reason that I gave, and you may have heard this. I would say something like this: it's arrogant for you to think that your views are right and that those who disagree with you are wrong. Show of hands if you've heard that before. And it feels soft and fluffy, doesn't it? You just want to crawl up in it and go, this is lovely. I'd like a cup of tea and a short nap. But when you examine the claim, it turns out to be self-refuting. Think about that. It's arrogant for you to think that your views are right and that those who disagree with you are wrong. First of all, we should note that of course everyone thinks his views are right. If he didn't, they wouldn't be his views. And if he holds to a particular view, he will necessarily think that opposing views are wrong. But here's the death nail. This thing that I was espousing was a view. It was my view that it's arrogant for you to think that your views are right and that those who disagree with you are wrong. And if you disagree with me, you're wrong. It doesn't work.